recently I made a video talking about the Nintendo Switch games that I missed out on for whatever reason. Either I just didn't pick it up because I wasn't totally into it at that time, or for whatever other reason. Could have been a game I really, really wanted, or a game that I was like, meh, lukewarm on. But today, I want to do a follow-up to that video because a lot of people seem to want it, of my Nintendo Switch wishlist. What games are still missing from my collection that I really want to pick up over time. Hi everybody, my name's Alex, aka Quality, and welcome back to the channel. So yeah, my Nintendo Switch collection is sitting at about 76 games right now after 2 latest editions, and while it might not be the biggest collection out there, it is certainly my biggest gaming collection. I feel like over the years, I've definitely invested a lot into the Switch, especially in comparison to some of my other collections, which I'm building all of them up, I guess, more simultaneously, but Switch definitely takes precedence because that's the system I play the most. There are plenty of new releases coming out all the time, but as I said, I definitely missed out on quite a few bangers over the years that I would really, really like to add to my collection, whether it be from picking up some used copies at used game stores, or buying new and going maybe a little too crazy on sales on Play Asia and Video Games Plus. I'm not going to talk about that part. And yeah, there is a lot on this list, but what I want to say is please do not take me making this video as a plea for you at home to buy me these games. I am not that type of person. This is my collection and I want to build it up myself. So please don't look at this as a cry for others to buy me games or even anything like that. I just don't want it to be taken that way because that will make me feel a little weird. These are just games that I really want to pick up. That's basically all it is. And without further ado, let's get into this list because there are a lot. As I said, I don't know how many I wrote down. I just wrote down whatever I could think of. To get 3 out of the way that I talked about in my previous video that I would really like to add to my collection: 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. That is like my #1 game that I would like to pick up for Switch. I recently finished Unicorn Overlord and had an absolute blast, so now I'm ready to dive into Vanillaware like wholeheartedly. I'm ready to go, and everything I've seen about 13 Sentinels is just so cool. The wonderful art style, cool story, very interesting gameplay. I want in. I so want in. So I'd love to pick that up. The goal I think for this one is if I can find it really, really cheap. Sometimes I see it cheap at used game stores and stuff, and like that would be ideal, but we'll see. I might end up splurging and just getting it at some point in time. We'll see. We'll see. I should also mention before we get too deep into this list, I am talking about collecting all of these physically if possible. I'm a physical collector, and that is like my shtick, that is my plan. So while I could get a lot of these digitally, I really don't want to go that route unless there's like no possible chance to get it physically. So I'm hoping to get all of these physically at some point in time. Next is another one I talked about in that video, Bravely Default 2. I still need to play the first one, as well as I still need to pick up and layer, but I would really like to have Bravely Default 2 as a part of my collection. I really think I'm going to enjoy the gameplay, and from what I watched my mom play of it, it seems like a gorgeous, fun, very interesting game with a banger soundtrack from what I could hear too, which, you know, OSTs are a big thing for me. But yeah, Bravely Default is just a series I really wanted to get into, and what I think might end up happening is I might end up getting this one and picking it up before I get to the one on the 3DS, but I don't know. It's not really a priority. It's just if I see it cheap and in good condition, I will probably pick it up. And finally, of the ones that I talked about in the previous video, which that's why I'm kind of going through them a little quicker, is the Collection of Mana. I mentioned this in that previous video, how I really want to complete my Mana collection for the Switch. Collection of Mana is like the only one I'm missing, despite it being the Collection of Mana. I have the Trials of Mana remake, and I have Legend of Mana physically, so I'd really like to get this one, especially before Visions of Mana eventually comes out, which probably won't come to the Switch, but like, regardless, it's the principle of the thing. It's the principle of the thing. Now for games that I didn't talk about in that video, because there are a lot. First up, I'm gonna kind of bundle this one, Rune Factory 3 Special and Rune Factory 4 Special. I have been wanting to get into the Rune Factory series for so long, and after I did my Story of Seasons Harvest Moon tier list that a lot of people liked, I was really shocked. It means a lot to me, but I was really shocked at how many people got so into that video. Everybody was telling me, you gotta play Rune Factory, you have to play Rune Factory, and a lot of people were really helpful by saying, hey, maybe do 3 or 4, stay away from 5, like, so thank you to all those people who gave those comments. I really, really appreciate it, and it is very helpful. However, I still don't know what is a priority right now, so that's fine, but I really, really want to get into Rune Factory, especially playing a game like Harvestella, which, while I do believe, especially having played and experienced Harvestella, is a very different thing, especially in terms of story, but I don't know. But it's still kind of that RPG farming combination that I've really, really been craving. And I know 3 Special is quite a bit of a shorter game than 4, so that's why I'm kind of leaning towards getting 3 first. But most people said that 4 is the one to go with, so I'm a little torn. I'm a little torn. So we'll see, but I'd like to eventually add both of those and probably Rune Factory 5 to my collection as well, just because I haven't heard as many good things about 5, it's not really a priority right now. Similar vein, Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town. Now this is an interesting one because a lot of people I know played this and were pretty lukewarm on it. I think some people really enjoyed it, especially after some of the free updates and then also the DLC, but I think initially the reaction from a lot of old school Harvest Moon fans was a little lackluster, especially because this was the first Story of Seasons game on the Switch that wasn't a remake. Before this, we got the Friends of Mineral Town remake, which I personally really enjoyed. I thought they did a really nice job on it. And then we got Pioneers of Olive Town. So I was really skeptical at first. That's why I didn't get it right away. But now I'm kind of like, I have a secret dream. It's not gonna be a secret after I say it, but I have a secret dream where I really wanna have like a very good Harvest Moon Story of Seasons collection. Like that is the goal eventually. And there are a few titles that I've been missing over the years, but I'd really, really, really like to do that because it's one of the most important series to me and has just followed me throughout so much of my life that it feels wrong to not add Pioneers of Olive Town into it. And again, like I want to give it a shot to know how I like it. Surprisingly enough, a lot of review sites actually rated this game very, very well. So I was kind of like, huh? I thought this game wasn't very good. So I'm really excited to eventually pick this one up, add it to the collection, and form an opinion for myself because I'm very, very curious. This next one is a Switch game that is unfortunately very hard to find. Video Games Plus just did a reprint of this game, and I'm a little bummed that I missed it, but I also am not because I saved money and was being responsible, but that is Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Donna. And I've seen a lot of people that are really in love with this game, really, really, really in love with this game, and I've never delved into the Ys series. I know I would really like it. I know I would. It's one of those RPGs that I feel like I could just find myself getting very into, but I just haven't had the ability to get into the series. And I remember seeing Ys 8 quite a bit whenever it first came out. I don't remember exactly when, but I remember seeing a lot of people playing it, a lot of people picking it up, a lot of people really excited for it. And I kind of always thought like, oh, that might be a nice thing to pick up. And then gone. It's just gone. Never to be seen again. It's really hard to find physically for the Switch, which is very sad. It's very, very, very sad because I think the PlayStation 4 version, if there's a PlayStation 4 version, I might be thinking of something else, is relatively cheap and easy to find. And then for the Switch version, it's like super overpriced and like you can get it for almost full price as a pre-owned game from GameStop, but are you gonna get the box? Who knows? Who knows? So I haven't picked it up. I would really like to. I don't know if Video Games Plus is ever going to do a reprint because that would probably be the avenue that I'd have to go if I can't find a decently priced used copy. But we'll see. This one might be I never get to experience this one, at least physically on the Switch, and might have to find a different route to get it, but if I can find it, I'd really, really like to. I know a lot of people really enjoyed this game. This is another group one that we're doing because it is the whole series we were talking about. The Atelier Ryza series. I have so many friends on YouTube that are like, you gotta play Atelier Ryza. You gotta play the Atelier series. You have to do it. You have to do it. And it's hard when I can't find the games. At the time of filming this, Video Games Plus is doing a reprint of all 3 of the games, and pre-orders end on Friday. And it is currently Wednesday, and I need to make a decision about this one very quickly because I would really like to get into this series. A lot of people are saying to start with Ryza because those are like the Switch ones, and it just looks like such a fun RPG series. And I know they're not too long, they seem very manageable, not too daunting, especially during the busy times of my life. It just seems like a really nice feel-good RPG, and I think sometimes I need that, especially like looking at my backlog, which has a lot of RPGs in general. Not all of them are super happy, feel-good friendship ones, and maybe having some, something to balance it out might not be a bad thing. The problem is, if I don't do this reprint, I have no idea how I'm going to get these games physically, because I know you could not find the second one for like quite a while, and it was really expensive. And I think the same thing happened with the first, less so with the third one, because I think the third one came out more recently, but I think in general, these three are hard to find. Otherwise, like, Video Games Plus wouldn't be doing a reprint of it, but I don't know. This is a series I really, really, really want to give a shot, so I don't know. I guess by the time this video comes out, I will have already made a decision on whether or not to get the three of them. So, guess. Did I get it? Did I not? Did I only get one of them? Did I get all three of them? Let me know in the comments what you think, because I still don't know if the financial guilt is going to get me this time or not. Next up is kind of a silly one, and I actually almost included it on the last video because it's an obvious Nintendo game that I just haven't picked up yet. Pikmin 4. So the reason I haven't gotten Pikmin 4 yet is because I literally just got Pikmin 1 and 2 and Pikmin 3 for my birthday this year, and I feel like I shouldn't buy 4 yet because it's very widely available. There's not really a rush to pick it up right now until I at least beat 1 and 2. Then I feel like, okay, at that point in time, I've only got one more to go. I can end up getting 4 as well. But it's definitely a game I really, really want to pick up. I know I'm going to enjoy Pikmin. There is no doubt in my mind that I'm going to enjoy Pikmin. I have to devote the time to it. And the first game's really short, and the second game I think is the longest of the three, but I know it's a series I'm gonna enjoy. So Pikmin 4 will definitely be picked up eventually. Another one which is a weird miss from my collection is Tactics Ogre Reborn. I actually asked for this for Christmas maybe like a year or two ago, maybe a few years in a row, and it's just one that around Christmas time nobody can ever find. It's so odd, but this game has evaded me for so long, and I know I'm gonna love it. I love tactical RPGs, strategy RPGs. They're some of my favorite types of games, and especially, like, again, talking about Unicorn Overlord, which is kind of in the same realm, they're just good RPGs to sit down and play and kind of get addicted to, and I feel like Tactics Ogre Reborn will be the same. I never really played any of the other Tactics Ogres games, so I'm very interested in this one and to see how it goes, because I do think a lot of people really enjoyed it, but there were some kind of mixed feelings on it, so I'm interested to form an opinion for myself, but I have a feeling I'm going to at least vibe with the gameplay pretty well on this one. Next we have more RPGs, and these ones are specifically a part of one big series, Final Fantasy. So I have quite a few Final Fantasy games for the Switch, and maybe this is more of a collector-y thing in me deep within my soul, but it feels weird to have 1 through 6, 9, and 10, and not any of the other ones. So I would really like to pick up Final Fantasy 7/8 for the Switch, as well as Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age for Switch. So yeah, to kind of rehash my Final Fantasy history, I've played 1 through 7, and nothing beyond that. I am a big fan of the original Final Fantasies, but I never went past 7. So I'd really like to have 8 in an easily accessible way to play it, and even though 12 is controversial, I'd like to give it a shot. My mom actually started 12 and she was kind of like on it, but I almost feel like I might get some enjoyment out of the gameplay of 12 just based on what I've heard. I know very little about 12 or 8, to be honest, other than that a lot of people don't like either of these games. So that's kind of funny, but it also would be nice to have 7 in an easily accessible way to play that as well, because I just don't anymore, which is very sad. Plus, it would make me feel happy to see all of the numbers there that are accessible and available on the Switch. So that's kind of my main motivation. These are other ones that I've really wanted to pick up just randomly and then have stopped myself because aside from my need to have all of the numbers, I haven't really like been super into the I want to play Final Fantasy VIII mood, you know? So especially because I still have 9 and 10, which I have not played either in my backlog, so those need to come first. But I'd really like to pick up both of these physically at some point in time. Next up is another RPG that I also kind of want for somewhat of the same reason as Final Fantasy, but also not. I have the other available game in this series on the Switch, but not this one, and that is Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. I've heard wonderful things about Nocturne, and despite not playing 5 yet, I'm gonna get to it this year, I promise. I absolutely promise. I really, really want to add Nocturne to the collection because I just know so many people really, really enjoy this one, and I especially heard really good things about the Switch version of it, so I'd really like to add it. Get more of my SMT experience in there. I know Vengeance is coming out for 5, and I'm probably not going to pick that up until I play 5, but I feel a little less like that for 3 because, you know, it's the 2 different stories, you know? It's fine. It's totally fine. So I'd like to pick it up. Maybe I'll try to push myself until I finish 5 to see if SMT is even something that I like, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy it. So that's kind of where we're at. Next up are 2 RPGs that I am surprised that I have never played because it combines everything I love from Studio Ghibli movies to RPGs, and that is either of the Ni no Kuni games, Wrath of the White Witch, and the other one. I cannot remember the name of it. I'll put it on the screen. Revenant King, I think that's what it is. Yeah, I have not played either of these, as you could guess by the fact that I don't remember the second one's name, and they're both ones that I would love to add to the collection, probably getting one first, seeing if I like it, and then getting the second. And I've heard that the second doesn't have nearly as much magic as the first one does, but regardless, I like to have series. So I like to pick up these eventually, but I'm a huge Studio Ghibli fan. I absolutely love it. My favorite movie is Castle in the Sky, like one of my favorite movies of all time, to be honest. And so when I found out about Ni no Kuni, I was like, I need to have this game right now. Like, I just need it, but I've never picked it up. And it makes me sad because I've heard nothing but phenomenal things about the first game, and I need to experience it. I really, really, really need to experience it. So I'm hoping to pick this one up sooner rather than later. Part of me, I think, is a little afraid that eventually this one is going to get harder and harder to find as the Switch life cycle starts to wind down further. Why I have that fear, I don't really know. I know the second one was hard to find for a while, but I guess I'm worried about it for both of them. So who knows? Hopefully I can get it eventually. Another weird one that, this is one I don't really need for Switch, but I want it for Switch, and that is the Danganronpa Decadence Collection. I really love Danganronpa, big fan of the games. I've never played any of them. I've watched many a Let's Play on them, and they're always just so interesting and so weird and wacky and just so right up my alley. And I really think the Decadence Collection is kind of, it's a cool thing to have. With it, you get like all of the games, I'm pretty sure, or you at least get 1, 2, 3, and then the beach party one where it's just all the characters on the beach or something like that. But regardless, I think that'd be super duper fun. Danganronpa, like the best thing about Danganronpa to me are the characters. So like, I don't know. It'd be cool to be able to actually experience it on my own finally after all of this time rather than live vicariously through others. So I'd love to add the Decadence Collection to my personal collection eventually too. This next one is a more recent one that came out, and that is Star Ocean Second Story R. This was almost a game I picked up right away, but then there was the kind of weird, I don't want to say controversy, but just the unsureness of if all of the game was on the cart, if it was a download code because of how the box is structured, which is, it's kind of a little weird, but I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not always the most up-to-date on this kind of stuff, is that the game is all on the cart. It was just some other kind of download, maybe, or that there was internet functionality, something like that. Regardless, controversy, not it over, but I still really want this game. I know a few friends that have played this and have really, really enjoyed it, and what took me in right away when I saw the trailer in a Nintendo Direct were the graphics. I'm a sucker for HD 2D styled graphics, and this has such a cool art style and just, oh, it looks really, really, really cool. Never played any of the Star Ocean games. I know there's another one on the Switch that I would also like to pick up, but because this is the more recent one on my mind, and I don't think you need to play the other one to understand this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm making a big mistake by wanting this one first. because I truly do not know. But regardless, this one's at the forefront of my mind, which is why it's on this list. And again, it looks so, so cool. Next is the sequel to a game that I played recently, and there are rumors that we might be getting a third one. AI the Omnium File's Nirvana Initiative. This was one that I wanted to get on launch, but I hadn't played the first one yet, so I totally passed on it. But after playing the first one at the beginning of this year, I am sold on the series. I need to continue. I've heard that the second one also is kind of lacking some of the magic of the first one, but I don't really care. I want to experience this one as well because I don't know. I love the characters in AI the Omnium File, so it's really cool to see Mizuki, who is one of the protagonists of the sequel, having grown up from the first game. And I don't know, I really love Mizuki. She's very cool. So I think I want to get to know her character more, especially after this time has passed. And again, I really loved the story of the first one. So I'm hoping the second one, even if people said it wasn't as good, still has that similar kind of effect. So hoping to pick this one up way sooner rather than later. Just need to find it for a good price. This one almost didn't make the list because I was about to like stop writing the list and then I was like, wait a second, I do need this. I think I was watching somebody else's Switch video and I was like, and that is the Grandia HD Collection. Listen, lots of RPG collections. I'm sorry, I like RPGs. Grandia is another series that I have wanted to try for so long, and the fact that there's a collection on the Switch makes it easy for me to do so. However, I do think the Grandia collection is a little hard to find. I think it might be on Play Asia, but I'm not totally positive. And as much as I hate to say it, it is kind of a lower priority pickup right now, but it is one that I would love to add to the collection. The Grandia games just look so nice, and like, I know very little about the plot except for what I've seen Miss Mandia talk about, but like, they just seem like really nice RPGs, so I'd like to give them a try. And it seems like the Switch versions are pretty alright, so I think that would be a really good way to go for it. And finally, for at least what I can think of right now, this is a game I talked about that was one of my most anticipated games of 2024, but I haven't picked it up yet, the Apollo Justice Trilogy. I love Ace Attorney. As I play more and more of the games, I'm just falling further in love with the series, and yeah, I need to continue. While I've heard that this later trilogy is not as phenomenal as the original trilogy due to different writers and stuff like that, I still want to see the entire picture as a whole. And again, as the collector in me, it feels weird to have the original trilogy as well as the Great Ace Attorney games on the Switch, but not have the Apollo Justice one. So I need to do it for my sanity. But also I'm definitely gonna play them. Again, I'm so taken in by this world and these characters, and same kind of thing like with the AI Omnium File sequel. Like, I want to see where Phoenix goes in this trilogy, because of the memes I've seen online, I can make some educated guesses, but still, and there's so many more characters that I've seen online that I have no idea what the heck they're about, so it'd be really nice to be in the know. But as of right now, that is the list of every Switch game that is out that I would like to add to my collection. And if I end up getting all of these, that is going to be quite the feat, because that's a lot of games. And there are still more games coming out this year too that I'm definitely gonna pick up. I just didn't include those on this list because those aren't out yet. These are all games that if I was crazy enough, I could buy them all right now. Thankfully, I am not that crazy. And also I have bills and loans and like life to pay for, so I cannot buy every single game right this very second. But that's kind of the fun of it. A lot of these Switch games are still relatively available, or they're like, you know, not horribly terrible to find if I really want to invest in some of these games. And that's kind of the fun hunting aspect of it. While I love looking for games for other collections of mine, like the DS, 3DS, GameCube, etc., the Switch is still kind of my baby right now. And I'd love to foster that growth as much as I can up until the end of the Switch's life cycle. Unless the next system is backwards compatible, fingers crossed, because again, there's no way I'm getting through this whole backlog this year. As much as I might try, and I'm making very good headway on it, I've got a lot of games, and I'm still gonna get more games. So backwards compatibility, please. But that's about it for me today. Tell me, what are games that you are missing from your collection that you really want to pick up? Or better yet, what games am I missing from this list that you think I will just fall head over heels for, I need to have as a part of my collection at some point in time for the Switch? I'd love to hear it. I'd love to spend more money. Absolutely! And if you like this video / Nintendo Switch content, plus any other video game content, whatever, what have you, maybe consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'd super appreciate it. Or, you know, even if you just like this video, like, go ahead, like this video, you know? But that's it. Goodbye. I don't know how to end this video for some reason. See you next time. Goodbye! Boop!